I knew the war had officially started the morning a man in khaki shorts tried to fine my chickens $50. Not kidding, I was standing barefoot in my own driveway holding a basket of eggs when I opened my mailbox and found a violation notice telling me my solar panels were an aesthetic disruption to community standards, on land that wasn't even part of their community. I laughed so hard one of the hens looked offended. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. My wife and I had moved out there 8 years earlier to a 5-acre patch of land on the edge of nowhere, the kind of place where you can hear wind moving through grass like it's whispering secrets. We weren't survivalists or anti-government weirdos. We were just tired of utility bills, tired of noise, tired of feeling like we were paying to breathe. So we built a house the right way. Permits pulled, inspections passed, solar array angled just right, battery storage tucked neatly in a ventilated shed. Rainwater harvesting system, gray water irrigation for the garden, composting toilet. Done cleaner than most bathrooms in town. Chickens that lived better than some people I know. It wasn't a shack. It was deliberate, thought out, earned. For the first few years, it was peace. Real peace. The kind you don't know you're missing until you finally feel it. Then a developer bought the land around us. And overnight, what used to be cattle pasture turned into rows of beige boxes with identical mailboxes and lawns cut to military precision. They built a clubhouse, a pool, and of course the crown jewel of suburban civilization, a homeowners association. We weren't part of it. Not legally, not contractually, not spiritually. Our deed had 0 covenants. We triple-checked. We could have built a spaceship out there if we wanted, but apparently that didn't sit well with the new HOA president. He was a recently retired insurance adjuster, the kind of man who says per policy during casual conversation. 6 months after moving in, he ran for board president and won. And like every small man handed a clipboard and authority, he decided to conquer something. That something was us. First notice, solar panels must be removed or screened. $50 fine. Second notice, chickens prohibited. Another 50. Third, compost bins unsightly. Fourth, rain barrels an eyesore. Fifth, greenhouse unauthorized structure. They escalated the fines like they were leveling up in a video game, 75, 100, 150. I finally wrote a polite letter explaining that our property wasn't part of their HOA, included a copy of our deed with highlighted parcel numbers, mailed it certified. A week later, the president himself showed up at our gate. "So you're the ones dragging down property values," he said, like he'd rehearsed it. I explained calmly that property law doesn't magically expand because you're annoyed. He laughed. Actually laughed. "Covenants run with the land," he said. "You're surrounded. You fall under our jurisdiction. That's not how any of this works." But he didn't care about how it worked. He cared about control. The violation notices doubled. Then came a bill for over $4,000 in unpaid fines. Then a lawyer's letter threatening legal action. We hired our own attorney. Cease and desist sent. Things went quiet for 2 months. Then came the county complaints. Health department, building inspector, animal control, all filed the same day. If intimidation had a scent, it would have smelled like paperwork. Here's the funny part. Everything on our property was flawless. Inspectors walked around complimenting the setup. The health inspector asked for our compost design specs. The building inspector said our solar installation was the cleanest he'd seen in the county. Animal control said our hens were practically royalty. They couldn't beat us on facts, so they tried to wear us down. Then they went nuclear. They placed a lien on our property. A lien for HOA fines on a property not in the HOA. Our attorney was furious. The judge was unimpressed. Lien thrown out. HOA ordered to pay our legal fees. You'd think humiliation in a courtroom would humble someone. Instead, he cornered me at a gas station. Finger in my chest, face red. "This isn't over. You will comply one way or another." Something shifted in me that day. Up until then, I'd been defensive, patient, civil, but I'm not built to be bullied. And here's the thing about HOA management companies, they're the ones actually running the show behind the curtain, collecting dues, enforcing rules, organizing meetings. The board makes noise, but the management company pulls levers. I started digging. Turns out the company managing his HOA was small, local, owned by one guy nearing retirement. A buddy of mine in commercial real estate mentioned casually one night over beers, "I heard that guy's looking to sell." He meant it as a joke. I did not. 3 months later, I bought the company, quietly, through an LLC, attorneys involved, contracts reviewed. And that's when the real twist hit. The HOA's management contract, the one our fearless president had signed, was wildly favorable to the management company. It granted authority to conduct financial audits, present findings directly to homeowners, oversee operational compliance. And the termination clause, 18 months notice, plus a termination fee equal to 2 years of management fees. He had handed the keys to whoever owned that company. And now I did. The first thing I did as new owner was conduct a financial audit of Morons United Estates. That's not the real name, but it fits. What I found wasn't dramatic embezzlement. It was death by 1,000 cuts. Landscape consulting fees paid to a company owned by his brother-in-law. Community outreach expenses that were steak dinners. Security equipment that turned out to be a private home theater in the clubhouse accessible only during board functions. Over $40,000 in questionable spending. I compiled everything: receipts, invoices, bank statements. Then I attended their quarterly board meeting. Blazer on, calm face, sat at the management company table like I belonged there because I did. When he started ranting about non-compliant neighboring properties, I stood up, introduced myself as the new owner of the management company. The color drained from his face like someone had pulled a plug. I presented the audit, laid it out clean, professional, precise. Then I read aloud the section of his own contract authorizing me to present financial findings directly to homeowners. The room went silent. Then angry. Homeowners started asking questions about the broken pool, the terrible landscaping, the clubhouse being mysteriously unavailable every weekend. He tried to shut it down, threatened to fire the management company. I calmly reminded him of the termination clause. "You signed it," I said. "I'm just honoring it." He went from white to red to a shade of purple I've only seen on overripe plums. A vote of no confidence was called. 28-4. He stormed out threatening lawsuits. He never filed one. Within weeks, the new board recovered most of the misused funds. The pool pump got replaced, simple fix ignored for months. Landscaping improved, clubhouse reopened to residents. And one of the first official resolutions passed by the new board, formal acknowledgement that our property was not part of the HOA. No violation notices, no fines, ever. I ran the management company for about a year, cleaned it up, paid the compliance officers fairly, focused on transparency. Then I sold it to one of those compliance officers, actually. Good guy, he deserved it. The former president sold his house and left quietly. Here's the part nobody talks about when they tell stories like this. It wasn't about revenge. It was about boundaries. Power, I've learned, isn't loud. It's quiet. It hides in paperwork. In contracts nobody reads. In systems people assume are harmless. And sometimes the only way to stop a bully isn't to yell louder, it's to understand the game better than they do. He wanted compliance. He got it. So I'll ask you this. Where's the line between standing up for yourself and going too far? Was buying that company justice? Or was it just a smarter form of retaliation? What would you have done? Drop your thoughts below. Have you ever dealt with an HOA gone rogue? Ever had to fight back in a way no one saw coming? Let's talk about it.